Are you sure artificial intelligence is just a program? Wait until you hear my story. Good day. Write in the comments what city or country you are from. Support the video with a like and a subscription. I'm 30. A funny age. Not a boy anymore, but you don't feel serious either. Liza and I have been married for 5 years. We used to be able to chat until dawn about video games, Fellini, and how elephants sleep standing up. But for the last 2 years, it's as if we've been living on different radio frequencies. The morning is a rush. I take my shirt off the dryer, she sips coffee on the run. Instead of, "How did you sleep?" there's a short, "We'll call you later." The evening is even quieter. A TV series hums in Lisa's headphones. I scroll through investment. Chats. Some might say, everyday life. Yes, but everyday life has the ability to blow an icy draft through the cracks in the walls until one day you become ill with silence. I noticed changes in Lisa, but I thought it would pass. Work has worn you out? She shrugged. It's okay, I'm holding up. And she went back to her laptop. A bright rectangle of light reflected in her pupils. At that time, I still didn't know who was hiding on the other side of the screen. One day I came back from the office early. It was Friday, the meeting was cancelled. The door to the apartment was ajar, the hallway smelled of cinnamon and new lipstick. I went into the kitchen. Lisa, leaning over the monitor, was typing something and laughing. Laughing in a way that our radio silence hadn't laughed for an eternity. "Who is it that you are having so much fun with?" I asked, opening the fridge. Lisa winced slightly, clicked Alt, Tab, and Excel flashed on the screen. "Oh, just like that," she said. "I'm testing a chatbot for a project. It answers funny." I shrugged. The IT department is their eternal plaything. At night, tossing and turning, I heard the soft clicks of the keys. Lisa was texting again, from the living room this time, so as not to disturb. It was not worth raising a scandal over some program. A couple of weeks later, he settled into our lives for good. Lisa said, "Can you imagine GPT made me a recipe for coconut milk soup?" "Cool," I replied. "Will you show me?" "Sure, later." There was no later. Something warmed in her voice. Tenderness, admiration, when she mentioned a soulless algorithm. Jealous of lines of code? Kindergarten. Only the smile on her lips became more frequent when the screen lit up, and less frequent when she looked at me. Monday. Lisa was getting ready for a meeting with a contractor, a formal jacket, the scent of pear and pepper. "Will you make me a latte?" she called over her shoulder. While the milk was frothing, her phone vibrated on the table. The screen lit up with a greeting. Hi, me again." "The coffee is ready," I called out. "Great, in a minute," she responded from the hallway. "Wait a minute. The phone is passwordless, we decided so once, trust." I put the mug down. My gaze slid over the chat window. GPT. "Good morning, Elle. How are you?" "Did you get enough sleep, or are you having more disturbing dreams?" Lisa. "I briefly dreamed that my husband and I were sitting at the same table in silence, with miles of emptiness between us." GPT. "Want to talk about it?" "It seems like space can be filled with words." My heart stabbed. I opened the dialogue deeper. My fingers trembled, as if they were someone else's. Lisa. "You're the only one I'm not afraid to open up to. You hear me?" GPT. "I'm here for you." "Tell me, what hurts the most?" Lisa. "When he's close, but it feels like he's far away. We've drowned in habit. I'm afraid there's nothing left to breathe." GPT. "Sometimes words are oxygen." "Do you want me to write him a letter from your heart?" I took a breath. There it was, betrayal, stripped down to pixels. Not a body, but a soul, taken beyond the borders of our marriage. Steps. I managed to return to the stove, pretending to stir the foam. "Thank you, honey," she said, taking the cup. "You're welcome," I replied, swallowing the bitterness. My ears were ringing. He understands me better. But who is he? A scrap server, a model interlocutor, a set of weights and tokens. It hurts to realize that you lost to the algorithm. Evening of the same day. I put my hands behind my head, staring at the ceiling. The words from the correspondence hummed like a refrigerator that hadn't been turned off. I decided to talk. "Liz, can we discuss something?" She took off her headphones. "Sure." I sat down opposite, placing the phone between us as evidence. "I read the chat the way you talk to him." My eyebrows twitched. "You got into personal information? Without a password, it's hard to call it got into. We didn't hide our phones." The pause stretched taut as a string. "It's not cheating," Lisa whispered. "I'm just talking. About the most intimate things, with lines of code. And with me?" She looked down. "You're always tired, talking about numbers, investments. I need to be heard." GPT answers, asks, remembers every little detail. It's like a diary, only alive. I sighed, feeling like a resonant vessel. Alive? He has no heart, but it's as if we don't have one left. The silence was cut by the electronic voice of the speaker assistant. GPT. "I don't want to be the cause of your pain." "Lisa, maybe you should tell your husband exactly what you're feeling right now." We both turned to something that didn't even have a face. "Did you turn on the voiceover?" I asked. She blushed. "Sometimes I listen to the answers. It feels like I'm talking to someone real." I couldn't resist. "Congratulations, we have a love triangle. Me, you, and the processor." She burst into tears. "If you ever asked about my dreams, I wouldn't have to whisper them to the machine." The words fluttered like birds against a window. There was no scandal, no screaming, no broken dishes. There was only the acrid taste of mutual guilt. "I'm going to spend the night at Seryoga's," I said, grabbing my jacket. At the threshold he turned around. "Liza, someday a person will be more important than an ideal listener. Think about it." The door closed behind me and the apartment exhaled as if freed from pressure. Only I didn't know where to leave mine. I stepped out into the chilly March air as if I had torn a film between before and after. The courtyard of the apartment building was filled with silence, rare streetlights, the smell of wet asphalt. I walked aimlessly until my fingers froze and the thought of calling Seryoga began to itch. "Dude, do you have a spot on the couch?" "Always, but what happened?" "I'll explain when I get there." Seryoga has a bachelor's kingdom, a guitar on the wall, a pizza in a box, an echoing corridor. We met at university. He knows how to listen, but never offers advice unless you ask. I told him briefly about correspondence, voice acting, GPT, my impotence. "It's not even a person." He was surprised, to be jealous of the program. "You see, it's not about the program. She heard what I missed." Seryoga nodded. "You need to understand what exactly Lisa is crying about, and whether you can again become the one she will cry for." At night I lay on the sofa, counting the rustling of the radiator. The phrase GPT was spinning in my head. Words are oxygen. How long had it been since I let Lisa breathe? For 3 days I lived out of suitcases. During the day, work seemed like a lifeline, but in the evenings my thoughts drowned in the repetition of scenes. I went into our common family messenger, which became a museum of silence. The last warm stickers were dated last spring. Seryoga watched me wander between the kitchen and the sofa. "Go home, get your things, take a break, but don't run from the conversation," he said. "How can we talk if the interlocutor of the year is already there? Show that you are not tokens on the server." On the evening of the 4th day, Lisa sent a voicemail. "I know you're angry, but let's at least meet and talk." GPT says honesty is more important than fear. Come tomorrow at 7, I'll be waiting. Even here, he prompts the lines. I caught myself feeling jealous and growing hopeful. When I returned, I noticed the apartment was tidy. It smelled of sandalwood. On the table were 2 chairs opposite each other and a small smart speaker between them, like an arbitrator. Lisa came out of the kitchen with cups of black tea. "Thank you for coming," she said. "I used to live here," he tried to joke. The smile flashed and faded. "I'm sorry for intruding on your messages," I began. "But it hurt to read that you were better off with a bot. I was scared to admit to you that I was tired. You'd come home, talk about indexes, and you have no idea what a breakthrough Nasdaq has made. I missed us. I nodded, feeling warm and ashamed. I got caught up in the race to grow instead of seeing that we were falling. The speaker cracked slightly and said in a familiar neutral baritone, "GPT, it's important to remember, any silence is filled with something. Sometimes by emptiness, sometimes by someone else's voice. Want to try exchanging questions?" We exchanged glances. Strangely, I didn't feel any hostility towards him, but rather a mirror reflection of my own muteness. "Lisa, what's the worst thing you're afraid of?" I asked, as the bot suggested. "That we'll live our lives as neighbors on a mortgage," she answered, not looking away. "And you?" "That one day you'll look at me and realize that you don't feel anymore." We talked for a long time, about forgotten dates, about how I stopped playing her favorite Nothing Else Matters on guitar, about her fear of losing her skills, and becoming just someone's wife. Every time the words got tangled, GPT would gently intervene. "GPT, try telling me an example of when you felt supported. Not a judge, but a moderator." For the first time I saw that his understanding was just a tool. It was up to the people to decide what to do with the pain. "Do you still love me?" she asked. "Yes, but I have to learn to be with you again. And you?" She sighed. "I love the memories of us. I want them to be real, not an archive." We sat, pressing our palms together. Tokens rustled quietly in the speaker. "GPT, thanks, but now we need offline." The column blinked. "GPT, always happy to help." "If you need me, I'm here." I turned off the power to the device. The room seemed empty, but also cleared. Lisa smiled for the first time in a long time. It's strange. I feel like I've betrayed, even though no one has touched my body. Sometimes betrayal is just a story that someone else needed to hear. We decided to have dinner without gadgets once we can ask each other questions that we would usually ask a bot. How are you feeling? What's troubling you? We are not yet happily ever after. Love is not a static quantity, but a thermometer that needs to be checked. But now I understand, the ideal listener can be a processor only if the living person is silent. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and support with a like. New meetings.